Welcome to Victoria Rumble Room, the show that looks at all of the issues on the island, British Columbia, Canada, and the globe. I'm Robin Adair, and speaking of the globe, across the globe, all the way into misty Saanich, in his dark lair, is John Jurisic, the gift that keeps on giving, the Croatian sensation. John, great to see you.
Oh, so great. From far and away over here in Saanich. I don't even know what I'm talking to, but apparently a lot of people. I'm really grateful today for this show. I have to say, in this Thanksgiving week, I'm pretty happy. But I'm going to tell you a little thing. Today, I am not the Croatian sensation. Today, I'm the Tulip Avenue sensation. Actually, Croatia doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving. It's one of those kind of, it's a North American thing, you know. They were discovered likely by Turks thousands of years ago.
So I guess they would be celebrating Crushing the Turks Day or something.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, if contemplatively, whoa, that's a big word. I don't think I've used so many consonants in a row, Robin. But anyway, I'll tell you, I'm thankful for my health. And you know, people say that, oh, well, I'm glad I'm alive. I actually mean it. This week, I mean it. And so the show has been fantastic. It's been a real uplifting part of our week. Thankful for my health. How about you? How about you, Robin?
Well, you know, you bring up the show, John. And of course, I'm also thankful for my health and thankful for a loving family. And we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving this year. And I even have a brother coming in from Saskatchewan with his wife. So it's going to be a real nice Thanksgiving weekend for us with family, and looking forward to that. But
maybe a rumble room right in the middle of the family.
Right in the middle. We're not going to rumble either. We're going to be it's going to be turkey and fun. But I did want to say that I'm very thankful that when I moved back to Victoria, and I was away for about 7 years in Vancouver, after almost 30 living in Victoria, we moved to Vancouver for a while for work, but we decided we didn't want to stay. We decided to come back, and I was sort of at loose ends. And back in April, I picked the phone up. Actually, it was a cell phone. And I called you and I said, "Hey, John." And you went, "Hey, Robin." And I said, "John, you do these video podcasts, don't you?" And you said, "Yes, I do." And I said, "Well, would you like to do one together?" And you immediately said, "Yes." So I called my friend Chris Ainscough, who's a composer. He gave us some music beds. You did the graphics. We were up and running in a week with the Rumble Room show. And we now have, I think, almost 70,000 viewers. And it's going better all the time. And I'm very thankful for having this to look forward to every week with you, John.
I feel as lucky that you picked up the phone. We certainly thoroughly enjoy doing this. We're getting to reach out to our friends in a very COVID-friendly way. And we're able to talk about issues in a way that seems to be missing from the local media landscape. And people are very much appreciating that. And we get to speak to really cool people, one of which is Howie Siegel,
who's coming up.
Yeah,
Howie Siegel. He's gonna be back on the Rumble Room.
Yeah, he was our most viewed, most popular show until yesterday, when Stephen Andrews talked about mission critical issues around the increased danger of living in Victoria and how that's impacting business and the police. So we're going to ask Howie this week, what is he thankful for?
And Stephen Andrew, as you mentioned, we did send out a blast from Stephen Andrew talking about the situation with police morale and crime downtown and what needs to be done. Well, wouldn't you know, we actually have an updated clip from that same Stephen Andrew interview that we're gonna lay on you right now, talking more about what the problem is and how we might solve it. Let's zoom in, Stephen Andrew.
Well, I think that we have been silent as community leaders about what's going on. I think the city definitely is in crisis as far as public safety goes, and the departments that deal with this, such as police and bylaw, are definitely in a crisis, even down to animal control. I'm concerned that if we don't get a grasp on this as quickly as we can, that really we're going to be in a situation where we won't be able to function as a city. There's a lot of discussion about this, and I think people need to know exactly what's going on. This is public information. It's being shared with council and with the police board, and I'm really concerned. Definitely our police departments are understaffed, they're overworked, and I'm hearing that they're dropping like flies inside because of this. I mean, if you look at the numbers, they are really horrific. You got 52 members right now with inside Vic PD that are not deployable. Now, granted, 17 of those are in the Justice Institute, and they'll soon be in, but we are seeing really significant problems. Look at the numbers, for instance. I mean, there have been, in 2018, there were 1,051 shifts that were lost due to PTSD and injury. That was in 2018. When we look at 2020, that was 3,061 shifts. That is absolutely horrific. And it says we've got a problem. I mean, we've got officers being knocked unconscious in parks. Now, the chief says that this is an unacceptable level. Quite simply, I think that's an understatement. It's downright dangerous. When I talk to officers inside, as you know, I covered this for many years as a journalist, that my sources tell me that there are 10 to 18 officers that are looking to leave. And departments like Saanich, Oak Bay, Surrey, RCMP, they're all looking to take these officers because, you know, there is a competition amongst police departments to bring their staffing up. And when I speak to long-term officers, they're telling me that the morale has never been so bad. As frontline officer recently said to me, he said, you know, it's not really about the money. I don't care about the money at this point. We just need help. They feel underappreciated. Comments like all cops are bastards and the fact that community leaders are not standing up and providing support and a defense to this behavior, they feel underappreciated. And so they're overworked, going into work and getting these anti-police comments, and it's just not helping. And they're concerned that if something doesn't happen soon, it will be next to impossible to maintain public order in the city. And lastly, I think we need to do what we can do as individuals, and that is collectively write to mayor and council at victoria.ca and tell everybody what we want to see, what we want to see in policing, what we want to see in bylaw, what we want to see in public safety. That is, I think, the key. If council doesn't hear it, then it's not happening. So I encourage everyone to do that.
Fantastic. What great messaging. Stephen Andrew, thank you. Such an important voice on council. And bringing objective, fact-based decision-making and context to a mission-critical issue for Lower Vancouver Island. And Stephen is such a great communicator and was able to articulate what's not working. And we have to hear these issues frequently, more often, and we need to fix them.
We've been getting some feedback since we sent out our clip, which has been widely seen all over British Columbia. And some people are saying, well, he's grandstanding. He wants to be the next mayor of Victoria. He hasn't declared that. I think what he wants to do is get the word out of what the police board is dealing with, what the cities are dealing with. Both the Esquimalt and Victoria are the taxpayers that have to foot the bill, and they need to know what the facts are and what's going on. And I think that's his mission. And I've heard other disgruntled people suggesting this is some sort of a conservative conspiracy, that things are really not that bad downtown, that we're really building this way out of proportion, that the crime rate is down and we shouldn't be concerned. But I know a lot of business people particularly, but people in general are concerned as they walk around downtown, and there are people that are clearly under the influence of drugs. There are people that are clearly seriously mentally ill, wandering our streets. They're living in tents, they're living in squalor, some of them, and it doesn't make you feel safe. People then don't want to be downtown. They want to be anywhere else. They go to the malls. They'll go to Uptown Mall in Saanich or Mayfair Mall or anywhere so they can avoid that. And we want a vibrant, happy, welcoming downtown. The tourists are going to come back. It's so important that we have a balanced community. It's not conservative, it's not liberal, it's common sense. And Stephen Andrews sees that. And I stand with him in terms of making sure people know what the facts are. They can make educated decisions for the future, irrespective of where you stand on the political spectrum. I'm sure you feel that people need to be helped downtown, more services, more ways for those people to rebuild their lives. And now, speaking of that, people working downtown, one of our favorite people that works downtown and has for many years, running one of the more successful restaurants on Vancouver Island, Pagliacci's, is the one and only Howie Siegel. Let's zoom him in. And now joining us on our Thanksgiving special show is a very great person, a person we're very thankful to have on the program for a second time, Howie Siegel, back in the Rumble Room.
Robin, I have to thank you and John for resurrecting my career on this podcast. Just been marvelous. People have been recognizing me on the streets and stopping me, asking what you're really like. And I told them.
Well, that's for another show, Howie. I guess we could dig back into the grab bag about our history together in broadcasting, which stretches back into the misty past. But
oh yes,
we're going to talk about Thanksgiving in a moment, and we're going to ask you what you're thankful for in this past year. I know a lot of us will be sitting around various tables over the Thanksgiving weekend with family and friends, talking about things we've been thankful for and also some of our challenges. I'll be interested to hear about a few of yours, but before we get to that, we thought we might ask you a little bit about the police. Of course, you run a business downtown. I'm sure you see the police in action more than many of us do or have over the years. Right now, they're under a lot of stress. There's a lot of street people downtown. There's been injuries. There's a lot of people away on stress leave from the police. And it's a bit of a crisis down there right now. Do you yourself feel much sympathy for our men and women in blue?
Nothing but sympathy. Because I walk the streets of Victoria virtually every day. I walk to work from where I park my car. I walk to work and I look and I see what's going on. I look at the condition of the streets, what they look like, the people who are living on the streets, panhandling on the streets, the garbage on the streets, the excrement on the streets, the needles on the streets, and it breaks my heart. Absolutely breaks my heart.
Now, I've heard some people commenting in the last 24 hours that the crime rate's actually down in Victoria and that this is just a right-wing myth, that there's a lot more crime and street people and mess downtown than there used to be. How have you been operating since the 70s? Have you seen it like this before in downtown Victoria?
No, never like this, but I'll tell you, it is improving somewhat. These cleanup crews that have been employed by the city are remarkable. They're doing a great job. Just get the basic garbage off the streets. But we never had that garbage on the streets before until we have so many poor people living on the streets. And the slums that used to exist, they don't exist anymore. Everything's gentrified. Everything costs a fortune. There's no place to park poor people. We used to send them to the slums with the prostitutes, with the drug users, and said, do whatever you want over there. It's on the other side of the tracks. So we got away with it. We didn't have to see it. The good neighborhoods, the nice places, we're pristine. We sent the losers on the other side of the tracks. There is no more other side of the tracks, whether it's overpopulation, ballooning inflation, whatever it is. We need to restore basic decency and humanity and cleanliness to our streets. Cleanliness is next to godliness. My mother would be so happy if she could hear me say this.
Howie, so great to see you, and thank you for that message, that special message on this Thanksgiving show. The other half, the other half of this question is really, how has crime impacted business? Really, there's the crime and the homelessness. How is it impacting business? How is it impacting your business? Give us a sense of what's going on.
And I can't say with any authority that the crime rates have been expanded or that we felt threatened, even though we did get robbed. Pagliacci's A few months ago, a couple of guys broke into the building and got away with used food. I mean, just garbage, junk. But nonetheless, it happened. I'm not pretending that I'm on top of the crime rates or I have a sense of that. It's not the crime per se in the city. It's just the degradation of the streets and the atmosphere in the city. I don't want to bring my grandchildren downtown to see some guy with his pants down around his knees, defecating and shooting up. I don't want to see that. I don't want I want to save my grandchildren from seeing that. I don't want to see it, much less grandchildren. I think there are decencies that we built up as a humanity, as a society over centuries. And we have a right to preserve that. We're not inflicting some sort of fascist regime on people, just basic decencies.
Now, Howie, you just heard Stephen Andrew. We had him on just before we brought you on. Stephen Andrews have been very involved in the whole debate around policing and funding policing and getting more services for mental health, more services for addictions. And of course, the big issue is who's going to pay for all that. You heard his comments. Does that ring true for you?
Yes, of course, I'm going to wind up paying for it as a member of the middle class. Who else is going to pay for it? Of course, it's the businesses, it's the homeowners, it's the landowners, it's the rich people are going to pay for it. Of course, we're going to pay for it. There's nobody else left to pay for it.
How about the fact that Stephen Andrews is actually getting out there and speaking out the way he is? Some people are saying he's just grandstanding. It's all a political move. Personally, I feel it's good to get the information. I'm glad he is saying something.
Robin, I'm glad he's grandstanding, and I support him. I support any movement, any voice that is going to bring together the sane members of society from the left, the middle, and the right. I'm not talking about political. I'm talking about people who want to restore decency. I know I sound like some kind of right-wing lunatic, but I'm not. I just want cleanliness, clean streets, clean people. I don't think I'm asking too much for that. I'm not going to check to see if you have a shower or not. I just don't want I want you to wear pants. You come to downtown Victoria to go shopping, wear pants. That's all I'm asking for.
Okay, this is.
Shoot up somewhere else. Shoot up somewhere else. Don't do it in front of me. I have to be protected from that.
That's a great segue to really the theme of our show. The theme of the show that
What's that about wearing pants, John?
Yeah, who knows? I'm going to try to re-articulate what that will be. Of course, it's just a Thanksgiving show, and Howie, you come from an enormous life experience, and we would love to hear what you're thankful for, and I suspect it might be wearing pants or not. I don't think so, but we'd love to hear what are you thankful for during this Thanksgiving week?
It brings to mind James Drinkwater. He was a very well-known therapist in town. And the time I did go for therapy, when my marriage was breaking up almost 20 years ago, I was broken. My wife had left me. I was 59, 4 children, 24 years. Robin know that period very well because we were together at at CJVI Radio. And so he husbanded me through that. He saw my mini breakdown there, on the air, which we still laugh about. But very seriously, my heart was broken. And I went to James and he said, look, you got to start to think about somebody who really loves you. Well, for me, that was not only Janet, who really loves me, thank God. And I'm grateful for her that she showed up here yesterday in Victoria, that she condescended to land in our little city from Phoenix, Arizona. So I'm glad Janet's here. But James said that think of somebody who really loves you. Well, I think of my mom. I was lucky. I had a loving mother. Not all of us do, but if we did, we should be grateful for it because that was the foundation of who we are. So I think of my mom. I know she really loved me. And I wish I could call her. I wish I could, but I can't. So I'll just talk about her a little bit. And then this next thing that James told me after I thought of that is to do something nice for somebody, to do something loving for anybody else. a dog, it doesn't really matter. Anybody, a stranger, help somebody across the street or give somebody a quarter. Do something nice for somebody else. And he said, these things will help repair you, because when you are grateful, it cuts off alchemically. It's almost magical process that it cuts off the feelings of despair and self-pity. And those are the terrible companions, as we all know. So gratitude is really, really important. And because for some reason, it makes us better people and feel better about ourselves, that we were able to do something for somebody else. Somebody was even less fortunate than we are, regardless of how poorly we're feeling. I've never forgotten those rules that it cost me a fortune, by the way, in therapy, $100,000 in therapy. But I take those rules with me and I still practice them. And I always remember, when I'm starting to feel self-pitiful and miserable, think of that. Think of those gratitude. What am I grateful for? And somehow, some magical process, I feel better.
Well, that's really well said, Howie, and lots to be thankful with. And of course, you have a wonderful family, and I'm sure you're thankful for that. Your kids have prospered. Your son Solomon has taken over your legacy, really, at Pagliacci's, and maintained and actually expanded on the standards. And I did want to ask you a little bit about the fact that I think Pags did very well in terms of a break, where the city said, why don't you take this portion of Broad Street and put your seats out and you can have that area. They blocked off the whole street, which really, I think, still allowed lots of pedestrian traffic. Other businesses still had lots of people coming to their door, but it gave people a sense of an area where they could really stretch out and enjoy a restaurant experience. I'm curious to know how you feel that is going to continue, because eventually we're going to move to the new reality when we get past this next wave of the pandemic, whenever that is. Are you hoping that this can be maintained? And how about the other outdoor seating we're seeing all over now? Not just Victoria, but all over Western Canada. People can now sit outside restaurants. And I think it's a wonderful thing. But do you think, with the lack of parking and maybe taxation questions about how you tax that area when it's actually public property, do you think the city's going to maintain it?
I don't think the city has any choice. They've created this reality, which is better. We love it. It's a nicer city. It's a more beautiful city. I don't think they can go back. I don't think they even expect to go back. I really don't think that'll ever happen. I can't imagine that the investment, the money, the efforts people have put into creating this new look, and it's better. Robin, I was so doubtful about their first plans to put in the bike lanes and everything. By the way, we don't really need a bike lane on every single street, but it's a better city. I really truly believe that. So no, they're not going to go back. It'd be suicide. Any political movement that went back would be cutting their own throats.
Yeah. And so how an earlier show that we had with you, I think it was during the summer, was our most popular show. And that continues to be that way. You continue to have a huge audience in the city and wherever else our digital show goes. So let's, as a final note, identify anything else on your mind. Is there some kind of concluding remark you'd like to tell, which is now thousands of people want to listen and hear from you?
Well, it's nice of you to say that, John. I appreciate it. You also told me that Roger's broadcast was superseded my own. So I was pleased to hear that, because he has something to say. I really don't. I'm just enjoy entertaining. That's who I really am. I always have. I've always looked for the fun and things. So if there's any secret to who I am or what I am, it really is that I'm a hedonist. I like pleasure. Myriad forms. Always have. And Robin knows that really well about me too. And you guys are secret hedonists, but you're just afraid to admit
it. We bring you on so we can live through you vicariously, Howie.
That's pathetic. That is really pathetic.
Well, we'll continue to have you on in the future. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Happy Thanksgiving to your family. And we'll get you on again soon.
Gratitude. I'm grateful to you guys for resurrecting my career. Thank you.
Whew, Howie Siegel, always such a great guest, Robin, and the fact that he'd like to come back. I mean, that's fantastic. I loved hearing his view on the region. I loved hearing what he's thankful for this week. Lots of food for thought. Yes.
And speaking of food for thought, John.
Yes. Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go. So another point of thanks during this week. I'd like to take a minute to congratulate Dan Dagg and his governor's committee. Now, you and I are on the governor's committee. That's the Chamber of Commerce group.
Past chairs.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
And this group have chosen 5 people to be the first ever inductees into the new Chamber Business Hall of Fame. Fantastic idea. Congratulations. People being inducted are all business giants from the past. Helen Behrens, Claire Copeland, Ron Lepoy, Ian Maxwell, and Chief Robert Sam. They'll be formally inducted in January. And I think it's always very important to remember the folks who've helped build this world-class city to where it is today.
You know, you think about all the talk about inclusion that we've had over the last, couple of weeks, particularly with our First Nations. I thought it was a nice touch by the Chamber to include Chief Sam in this first list of inductees. So congratulations to all of them. And, John, we've got so much to be thankful for, even in the middle of this pandemic. And yes, it's still raging. It's a terrible problem. And they're actually flying people in from other parts of the province to Island Health because we've got extra beds, and there's big problems in the north, still big problems in the interior. And, people are still resisting getting vaccinated. I don't know how that's happening, but
right.
We're going to be talking next week to Dr. Bill Cavers. And he's now a retired physician from Victoria, formerly the president of the Doctors of British Columbia. So he knows his stuff, and we're going to be talking about everything from booster shots in the future to COVID passports that we're using now, the battle with COVID, the battle with variants, what's down the road, what's the future look like in terms of dealing with all of this with Bill Cavers, and I can't wait to talk to him.
Yeah, neither can I. I don't understand this vaccine hesitancy. I do not understand it. I generally try to see all points of view, but it doesn't make any sense, and I can't wait to hear from him. That'll be a great show. We're getting a lot of people watching us, Robin. I think a little bit unexpected. I think we felt a few friends would watch. Boy, some of our last shows have had thousands of views. Many and really fascinatingly interesting to me that the self-declared geek of the show is the fact that people are sharing. I think you've had some great experiences with sharing the shows with other groups on Facebook. Can you just sort of review that a little bit? You don't have to indicate names, but that's really.
Well, breaking news on Vancouver Island, Friends of Esquimalt. There's a Victoria, BC site that we've joined.
Right.
There's a lot of sites with a lot of people that are very interested in what's going on in the community. And it can't be emphasized or overemphasized, John, that we are doing this as a public service. We're not doing this as a money-making venture. Victoria Rumble Room is just us doing a show, bringing people on, and hopefully providing a service to our community. We just feel very committed to that. So we're not in it for the money, we're in it for the service to the community. And we really appreciate that some of these groups have actually invited us to participate and have had our material on their programs.
Yeah, you're bang on, Robin. Thank you so much. And as you can now see, popping up on up and down and there from the digital universe are the coordinates we would like you to go and view and share. And we've sort of identified why that works in so many ways. And a lot of people are agreeing with our message. So during this Thanksgiving week, not the Croatian sensation, but the Tulip Avenue sensation saying, Happy Thanksgiving. My name is John Jurist.
And I have so much to be thankful to have you as my co-host every week, John Jurisic. And again, Thanksgiving to everybody. I'm Robin Adair, and rumble on.